Hello everyone, it's Craig Davidiuk from the Enamel Pin store, and I'm here with another art review. Today we're looking at some Bugs Bunny Tasmanian Devil art, and it's from my friend Devril. So right off the top, I have some bad news for you, buddy. We cannot manufacture this pin, and the reason is that you're borrowing slash copying intellectual property that belongs to Warner Brothers Entertainment. Now, we all see a proliferation of all kinds of art characters in the marketplace, and people point to it and say, well, everyone else is doing it, or I'm changing the likeness and I'm creating my own art. Whatever your reason is, it's wrong and it's illegal, and we can get sued and you can get sued. And to be brutally honest, all of these companies, Harley Davidson, Warner Brothers, Disney, they have big legal teams. I'm not lying, where they have probably 5 to 10 lawyers dedicated to going on the internet, searching out people that are creating infringements on their brand, and then going after them in a court. And in the last couple of years, I've seen a lot of precedent set where a company like ours can be put out of business by doing this work. They go after the suppliers of this stuff and you at the same time. They go after everybody. They go after our factory, and they'll make our lives a mess. So I don't want to sound too doomy and gloomy, but we personally cannot touch this art. But in the sake of education, there is some things that I'm going to show you here about what you would do if you wanted to do a cartoon character pin that did not have Bugs and Taz on it. Okay, so if you want some information on the process involved, there's a website here. It's called Biz Rights.com, art and cartoon licensing, and you can find out all about it. The one thing I wanted to point out, it says many of our clients with this website have worked with major cartoon figures. They want a suitable and significant budget. So for most enamel pin designers, that ain't you. So not to sound too doomy and gloomy, but you are really opening yourself up to a major lawsuit by doing this kind of art, just straight up. I personally have had Harley Davidson contact my bike club for use of a logo that didn't even really look close to the Harley logo. And it was in a different country. And I was in a town of 10,000 people. So Harley Davidson tracked me down from the other side of North America to tell me we can't do it, and they were going to sue our bike club if we didn't stop. We had 30 days to stop using the logo. So copyright law ranting aside, let's get into what we can do to make cartoon style pins into enamel pin art. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do, Devril, is to start turning on your rulers whenever you do a design. Okay, right off the top, this is a very large design. It is 2 inches by 2 inches, so it's not too bad. But again, the average pin size, what I'm finding is the sweet spot for the pricing and the design size is 1 inch to 1.25 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. And the reason is the price point's a lot less. So let's dive into this and have a look at some of our enamel pin store stuff here. So if you're, let's see, if you're doing a hard enamel pin and you go into let's say 1.25. So as you can see, 50 pieces, $8.93, 100 pieces, $6.95. So that's not bad. The thing to realize with our pricing, it's all inclusive. There's no shipping, taxes, fees, or anything like that. This is the price you pay at the end of the day in your currency. And if you're paying from the US, you get a little bit of an exchange bump by working with us. So that's good to know. Once you start getting above that, it's kind of hard to sell your pins at $10 to $15 and make any money. So that's a good thing to note. The second thing is just as an overview, an oversight type of thing, Devril, you're still thinking of pin design as being the same as print design, and they're very different. And the reason is this: we are stamping a piece of metal out of zinc alloy, and there's a raised area and a lowered area, and we're physically constrained by the amount of detail we can put in there. So if you think about it, we're applying millions of tons of pressure to this piece of metal and shaping it into the shape we want, and you have to have areas that hold color and create borders and all that stuff. And so there's some physical things that are kind of getting in the way here. So let's talk about the first thing. Second thing, if you did want to change the faces, here's how you go about doing it. I would suggest using the black nickel process, which you're all familiar with. Basically, instead of it being bronze, silver, gold, it's black, and then you can render some of these details in black as you see fit. You could also use just regular nickel, otherwise known as silver electroplate. And then on these things, we need to start thinking about pin design as opposed to graphic design. So let's have a look here. I'll zoom in. So as a pin, these areas Might hold color. They're a little bit small. This is great use of raised areas and lowered areas. So once again, a black nickel raised area and a lowered area to create artistic effects and fill it with color. The challenge you have on this shoe, for example, this would need to just be black. Just take the detail out. Okay, and then I know it changes the nature of your design, but this is how we'd have to do it. Or similar, like you can reduce the size of the shoes however you want. Just try and avoid these teeny tiny little areas like this here. Make those black. Make these black. Again, this is raised black. These little belt loops, too small to hold color. This earring, too small to hold color. The other thing I want to point out here is an industry term we call internals. So there is a white space in here. If we have to punch that out, that adds a setup charge of around $80, I believe. So that's another addition to the cost. So I try and stay away from using internals or holes in the design unless possible. A workaround is to make this like a recessed nickel or black kind of thing. You could put black in here to make it metal so you don't have to worry about how it attaches, right? So you could do that. It changes the nature of the design though, and the same thing within here. We need to make this black so because there's metal to attach all this stuff, right? Same with this guy, it needs to be black. So now we have a nice solid border all the way around this that is consistent and matches the base metal color. Same thing with here. We probably reduce the detail in here because this is too small to hold color again. It's just it's a fundamental rethink in how you use design tools to make your art, and it's going to take a while to wrap your head around it. Keep in mind, I've been doing this for over 25 years, and I can look at a pin and in 2 seconds or less go, yep, that's a black nickel hard enamel with a silk screen, because that's my job. But it's going to take you guys a while to figure it out, and that is the purpose of the enamel pin reviews. One last thing that I want to point out before I wrap this up here is, so the whiskers won't work on bugs as they extend past the face. So see this little thing here? That would have to be metal. It's too small. You can't. See, the way this works is we take a square piece of metal and we stamp it on a mold, and then we create a trimming die, and it stamps all the excess off. So this is too small. It would get caught. You can't do whiskers that small. If you wanted to put an area out and around here, you could, but again, I would just leave the whiskers off, and that would probably be a good way to get going on this. So yeah, well, again, to wrap up, it's dangerous and illegal to use copyrighted images for your art. The second thing is to turn on your rulers. The third thing is cartoon characters often work well with the black nickel die struck process, but when you're using the die struck process, you have to reduce your detail quite a bit so that your color areas adhere to minimums. So the minimum is 2 millimeters to hold color in most cases. And we have the Enamel Pin Designer cheat sheet here, which you can download and ask for free at our website. And there's a little tool there that shows you how it works. If you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me, and thank you for your art review requests. I'm Craig Davidiuk with the Enamel Pin Store.